You know, we have been experiencing just some of the most amazing feedback from the audience. I think that we have here one of the best communities. And with that comes, I don't know, sometimes I feel weird when I'm engaging with too much positivity. I just think yin and yang, black and white, other things. You need both. You need positivity, you need negativity. How will I appreciate the positivity of much of you if I never subject myself to the negativity? So I said to Jaden, can you find someone out there who's made a hate video on me so that we can review it on the show, just to sort of palate cleanser, right? And make sure I'm not getting too out of touch with the haters. We always got to check in on them. And so you have this guy, Bring the Asteroid, and this is from like 6 months ago, which is funny, but I think it's still relevant now, who said, Luke Beasley, the self-proclaimed woke soy boy, gets utterly destroyed by a MAGA champion in this explosive confrontation. And the MAGA champion is Scott Jennings. So let's see what happened with this. And I don't know why he said self-proclaimed woke soy boy. Hi, I'm Luke Beasley, your favorite neighborhood woke soy boy. But okay.
This is probably why.
In this video, soy boy beta cuck Luke Beasley reacts to Scott Jennings wrecking yet another entire panel on CNN. Luke Beasley completely misses the point that Scott Jennings just owned his liberal comrades because he's desperately attempting to spin a ridiculous false narrative. With that, let's watch whiny.
Is he like eating something while he's recording this? The soy boy cuck thing too. My mom called me in tears. She said, Louie, I'm seeing all over the internet that you're being called a soy boy cuck. What is this? What has become of my son? You're a cuck, Luke? This is a conversation I had with my mother. People don't understand the gravity of doing this job. You get calls like that. And I said, Mom, I'm trying to make you proud. Okay, so let's keep listening.
Weasley, little woke idiot, Luke Beasley, make a fool of himself while unsuccessfully attempting to criticize Scott Jennings.
Do you want to see an entire panel on CNN collectively, without saying these actual words, communicate the message of shut your mouth, Scott Jennings? That's what I have for you here, which is, of course, yesterday was 4 years after January 6th. Okay, he has a point. I'm kind of annoying. Do you want to see? Okay. All right. Get to the point, dude. It's 2021. And the day that Trump's election was certified. Yesterday. All right. Let's jump forward to the next part where this guy talks. So the whole premise of the video, and it's funny because he never even lets me explain my argument, but is that after the election was certified, I was saying, isn't it interesting how Democrats showed their respect for the democratic process and the peaceful transfer of power by not resisting it, even when Trump, someone as dangerous as him, was elected? And often the retort from MAGAs is to say, well, no, Democrats have constantly tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. And so it's not that big of a deal that Trump did that whenever he lost that election in 2020. And I've addressed that completely ridiculous false equivalency a bunch of times, and I'll circle back to it in a second, but that's kind of the context of the debate.
That's not what
I don't understand why they're so upset about what Scott Jennings is saying. Did the Democrats dispute the result of the 2000 election and cite voting irregularities in Florida? Did the Democrats on the House floor object to the 2016 election in multiple states, alleging voter suppression and foreign interference? Yeah, they did. The only reason these objections lost steam is they didn't have a cosign from the Senate.
What was his name again? Bring the Asteroid. Just a couple notes. I don't know how long you've been doing it. I haven't been doing it for that long, but just eating and scratching your beard really loud in your mic, just as just little notes. Just not, it kind of messes with the audio. But that's right. I like it. It's a little SMR-y.
But as I think this woman...
What's the word?
ASMR?
Yes. ASMR. Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Esteem is they didn't have a cosign from the Senate. But as I think this woman just said or is about to say, it wasn't just one person saying, hey, I don't think this election was really good. They were disagreeing with the results of the election. And I don't understand how Scott Jennings is going to be on the wrong side of history for telling the truth here. I think he would be on the wrong side of history if he said, boy, I love everything that happened on January 6, 2021. Those people were great for going into the Capitol, and I completely condone all of their actions. But then I think he'd probably be on the wrong side of history. But no one on the right condones the actions of the protesters on January 6th.
Except for Trump and everyone who supports the pardons that he gave.
I think anyone with a brain understands that it was a protest that got out of hand. People broke laws and were punished for breaking the law, as they should be. However,
then we're pardoned. I just want to play that part because it is a silly argument, because most of the right does condone it by supporting Trump pardoning those folks. But at least to his credit, he was willing to say that it would be bad to condone it. He just didn't connect the dots. And Trump hadn't pardoned them by then, but he was indicating that he was going to. As we continue through this, if you do appreciate this show, unlike Bring the Asteroid, then you can click the subscribe button. And one of the major ways right now that I'm asking people support the show is by getting pep, gut-friendly energy, uplift your gut microbiome. Don't poison yourself with the trash that is in so many other energy drinks, but get that boost throughout your day. Drinkpep.com. You can scan the QR code there. Back to Bring the Asteroid.
He couldn't stand up and say, you know what? The country is bigger than me. The voters decided 4 years ago. And today he still hasn't done it. Now you can try and compare 2000 and 2004 and 2000, but that's not the same. And you can, I know deep down inside that you also know that what happened on January 6th, we have never seen anything like that in our lifetime. And God hopes we never do. And that was not what.
Yeah, it looks like that's where the clip ends, but it looks like Scott is sort of like, oh, okay. As a whole panel had to dogpile his absurdity. Oh, it's so upsetting. You know, we'll have to edit this in after, Jaden, but let's go ahead here and plug in a clip of me trying to explain the distinction, because I've done it so many times before. Just watch me, past me doing this. I don't need to do it again here. To a few Trump supporters during a Tim Pool appearance, and I desperately tried to get through their confusion. And whether it be someone on that show or Scott Jennings on CNN, seems people willingly choose ignorance. Here it is.
Just so we're very clear and that I'm on the same page as everyone watching this, I just want to get this clear. So this is Luke Beasley's evidence that Scott Jennings got quote unquote owned by this panel. I have that right, correct? Okay, you know, in my humble...
He said quote unquote owned. I don't think I used the word owned, but the YouTube title is something like, because it's a YouTube title. Scott Jennings effed up. I wish we could title videos, Luke discusses Scott Jennings' appearance on CNN. Guess how many of you would click that? My mommy. That would be it. So what's really funny here is you'll notice we're at the end of the video. He doesn't play the clip that I played where I explained the difference. Hey, that's not nice. You can't call me all the words and then go, he's not even good at debunking what Scott said. And then my point was, I've done this 100 times. So here's one other time where I did it with other people so that you can see it's not just when I sit alone in a microphone and have nobody to push back. When I was sitting with other people and they had the opportunity to fact check me, I was still, I think, effective at explaining the false equivalency that they're doing there. But then he doesn't even play the clip.
Opinion, Luke, this was a real swing and a miss. I didn't see anyone check Scott Jennings on there with any facts or anything substantive. I didn't hear him lie about anything. I didn't hear him condone individuals' actions on January 6th. But please, if you're watching this right now, please let me know if I'm wrong, because we want to hear from you. What did you all think of Luke Beasley's stellar analysis, and what did you think of Scott Jennings' dialogue with this outraged CNN panel? Let us know. Anyway.
Okay, so yes, you are wrong. And I say it with respect and love. But if you had played the clip, I would have explained why, which is that, number one, the big difference between Trump's attack on our democracy and the examples you try to cite to conflate different scenarios is that Democrats never went outside of the law. So there actually is, despite the fact that whenever Republicans were objecting to election results in the House and Senate, especially after the riot, it was emblematic of them being more willing to support Trump's lies than support the truth and then try to lower the tension. And so that was bad in that it was bolstering lies. But you are allowed to object in Congress. There is a procedure there. So you're allowed to do that. I might be mad at you for it, but it would be correct to say if our only argument was that people objected in Congress after the 2020 election, Republicans, that, hey, other people have done that and Democrats have done that before. But that's not at all what we're talking about in terms of the illegal scheme for Trump to stay in power. And before getting to that part of it, also, you don't have example of Democrats just refusing forever to concede. And that is, so he brought up the 2000 example. There was a concession. Hillary Clinton, there was a concession. So those also kind of fall apart. But then outside of the courts, which Trump did have the legal authority to try in courts, and then he failed. So it wouldn't have been the deal that it was if it just stayed in the courts. Or if it were just people standing up and objecting in the electoral counting process in Congress, then that also wouldn't be the deal that is so unique and unprecedented, which is why Scott Jennings trying to wave it away with, well, Democrats have done it, is so dishonest, because even once all of Trump's legal mechanisms failed, the court cases, and when he knew the objections were going to fail, then he went outside of the law with different efforts, one of them being the fraudulent slate of electors. And if you need that to be explained to you again, fair, but just go see bazillions other hours of me talking about it, because my regular audience will barf if they hear me explain again how he assembled fraudulent electors and try to get Vince to count them or go crazy. So I'm going to leave that for a different time. Now you might be thinking, oh, dang, I feel so bad for Luke. Why is freaking Asteroid being so mean to him? I don't even think he's a soy boy at all. Does anyone ever make love videos about him? Well, while Jaden was trying to look for hate videos, he saw a title, Luke Beasley Goes Off the Rails. So you would think that's negative, right? Let's see. So that was a remix of an interview I did with a MAGA guy. My thoughts? There it is. There he is. It's too good. Everyone's had sex with a porn star. I've had sex with a porn star. Oh, goodness gracious.